A man by the name of Kurt has been attempting to gain notoriety online for many years. On his YouTube account, Kurt's World 96, he engages in a variety of activities, such as Draw My Life videos, gaming, shoe reviews, and discussions on his preferred keyboard shortcuts. Additionally, he brags about his DJ father, Chris, who long ago got divorced from Kurt's mother and works as a DJ. Kurt resolved to be a good son and live with her while earning money by babysitting because his mother had been so unhappy over this. Kurt hasn't been able to attract a consistent following for his videos, despite how much he records. His numbers have never exceeded double digits. This is quite dissimilar from Bobby and his YouTube series Bobby Base Camp, a youngster Kurt formerly babysat, who is now a well-known influencer. Bobby doesn't really accept Kurt as a friend. Instead, he just pushes him away from his own camera while tolerating him. Kurt reaches his breaking point after 10 years of unsuccessful streaming and decides to give his channel one last try with a video he calls The Lesson, which aims to show viewers how to build an online audience. He says the first part of the lesson is to get his car ready by loading it up with cameras and water bottles. You just don't exist if you're not recording your existence. Kurt will utilize this vehicle to drive for the ride-sharing company Spree. The first passenger he picks up is a man who refuses to fasten his seatbelt and expresses mistrust of the cameras, but Kurt simply informs him that they're there for security. Kurt is concerned that this man, who also preaches the religion of white supremacy, might harm Bobby, the only other person watching his live broadcast, so he starts driving a little more dangerously. Kurt simply tells the man to consume his free bottled water despite his complaints. In fact, the water has been poisoned, and Kurt even created a complete video instruction on how to do it covertly. Then, while the man expires in his rear seat, coughing away his life, Kurt turns on some music and blows past a stop sign. Bobby, Kurt's lone watcher, believes the killing was all a publicity stunt, but Kurt is okay with this because it is all part of the lesson. Since he wants to complete as many tasks without being seen in order to garner the most attention possible afterwards, nobody should first be able to determine that what he is doing is true. Kurt picks up an unpleasant meathead named Mario as his next passenger after disposing of the dead. Mario complains when Kurt tries to play some of his original songs. Additionally, he won't even touch the complimentary water. Then, ignoring Mario's protests because he was the one who selected the pool option, Kurt makes a side trip to pick up another passenger. The passenger is Jessie, a well-known influencer and stand-up comedian who immediately cancels the trip after hearing Mario make advances toward her. Kurt offers to drive her for free to entice her into the car after Mario forces him to follow her. Kurt notices she has a large following when he is driving and inquires as to how she achieved this. She replies that she is simply entertaining. Mario then continues to make really improper statements to her, as Kurt keeps pleading for assistance. Jessie is tired of these two weird dudes bothering her, so she tapes everything for her social media before getting out of the car. Now that Kurt has missed the opportunity to become friends with a genuine influential person, he is furious. As a result, he abruptly alters course and drives Mario to a faraway construction site. Kurt forces Mario to get out of the car because he has been driving so quickly that he is beginning to feel nauseous, and Kurt doesn't want barf on his seats. When Mario complains but still exits to use the restroom, Kurt starts playing his own music loudly and accelerates to ram into Mario's car, sending the body flying above the car and landing on the front windshield for the ideal gory camera angle. Kurt stalks Jessie on social media after disposing of Mario's body and cleaning the vehicle and discovers that she is performing stand-up that evening. He interprets this as a sign and claims that Jessie and he are two significant events taking place on the same night. Given that Bobby, who continues to believe the deaths are phony, is Kurt's lone tipper, and since he only has a few viewers, it is obvious that he isn't yet popular. This is due to the fact that he is a very fake creator in general. He frequently plays practical jokes on the homeless, and the one time he purportedly helped them, everything was staged for the camera. This is not Jessie, who is admired for being sincere and accessible. A little bit later, Kurt makes a pit break at the gas station where he removes the realtor's sign and fills the tank while yelling at Bobby for calling him boring and telling him to spice up his streams. After cleaning the vehicle of all the blood, Kurt decides to add some spice to the situation by driving erratically for his next group of passengers, 3 socialites named Richard, Kendra, and London. London leaps to the front seat to talk to Kurt, even though Richard and Kendra are initially horrified by the way Kurt drives because she makes her feel like she's on an adventure. Kurt eventually veers off course once more and takes the group to a junkyard, instructing Richard and Kendra to open the sunroof because there is a picturesque vista that would make a great Instagram post. While Kurt's music is playing in the background, Richard and Kendra play along and appear to be having fun until he starts driving faster and suddenly closes the sunroof, trapping his next victims. Kurt then uses a power drill that he has in his car to murder London, while some wild canines from the junkyard jump on Richard and Kendra to feed. Kurt then phones Bobby to get his opinion and drives his car to the car wash. Regrettably, Bobby missed Kurt's triple kill. Kurt simply doesn't interest him, so he really quit watching the webcast. Bobby advises Kurt to act more like Jessie since she comes across as genuine when Kurt asks why he hasn't yet given him a shout-out as promised. Kurt revisits Jessie's social media accounts, but his bitter resentment causes him to make petty remarks like noting that she doesn't even shoot her tails vertically. Kurt, who is enraged, drives to a suburban home as Jessie broadcasts the video she shot in the car to burn Mario and Kurt, then goes to visit her grandmother while filming it on social media in order to take excellent care of her. They weren't expecting anyone, so she fears when the doorbell rings, but it's only fellow stand-up comedian Mike who wants to talk about some work-related issues. Bobby wants Kurt to go because they are neither co-workers nor friends, and all of this is being stated in front of the camera so that his viewers can hear it on his stream. It turns out that Kurt is actually visiting Bobby. As Kurt approaches and begs for assistance, Bobby taunts him, and as a result, some of Bobby's supporters visit Kurt's stream to witness Kurt's side of the story. Just as his stream finally hits double digits, Kurt abruptly stabs Bobby with a knife. Kurt murders Bobby despite his audience's belief that it is all a fiction, as Bobby struggles against him and uses a gun to defend himself. By broadcasting his stream on Bobby's channel and even recording himself taking a shower to get rid of all the blood and looking through Bobby's belongings, Kurt soars into the triple digits. At that very moment, his father texts him to request a lift to a concert. Kurt initially refuses to assist him since he prefers to attend Jessie's performance. But when Chris reveals that he'll be seeing a well-known DJ, the chat recognizes the name and Kurt seizes the chance. When Kurt picks up Chris, it is immediately clear that their father-son connection is awkward, which leads to an argument. The moment Chris discovers Bobby's gun in the car, he reprimands his son for having it. This leads to yet another argument, which doesn't end until they must conceal the weapon because the police are nearby. When the Gastikis they do arrive at the club, they meet with the well-known DJ known as Uno and ask her if she'll post something tagging Kurt's channel. She initially refuses, but as she grows weary of the situation, she decides to participate in the shout-out in exchange for Kurt taking her to a taco truck. Once they've located a taco truck, Uno asks that Kurt take pictures of her and stand in line for her as payment. Given how lengthy the line is, Kurt tells some revolting tales to frighten people away. Uno, meantime, searches the car for the rifle Kurt stole from Bobby and uses it as a prop for a few selfies. She then takes a drink of water, but it turns out to be one of Kurt's unique concoctions, and she collapses right away. Uno is reduced to a body by the time Kurt returns to the vehicle with the meal, and he immediately discards the water bottle. Unluckily, this attracts the notice of the police, who arrive and order Kurt to take a field sobriety test while he poses as though Uno is his girl and has just dozed off. Uno awakens abruptly because she didn't drink enough to totally pass out. Upon seeing the police, she becomes terrified and shoots one of them before fleeing. When Kurt uses the opportunity to flee in his car, one of the officers follows him as well. All of this is increasing his live broadcast audience to quintuple-digit levels. Kurt starts driving like a lunatic in an attempt to escape the police, crashes into a homeless camp, intentionally kills a few hobos, and then flips his car. Meanwhile, Mike, who keeps bugging Jessie and claims to have numerous contacts, gives her a ride to her event. Before her, this guy also performs a brief opener, but no one in the audience laughs. However, as Jessie takes over the stage, the audience goes absolutely crazy, and Kurt is hiding in a corner with his gun. After telling a few of her trademark jokes, Jessie talks about her shopping excursion with Mario and Kurt, claiming that Kurt's obsession with gaining social media followers caused her to think a little bit on herself. High subscription numbers don't guarantee happiness, and no matter how many people watch you, they will just serve to criticize and despise you for their own amusement. She ends her performance by breaking her phone on the stage, shocking everyone and putting a stop to her reliance on social media. Kurt is moved by her speech and decides to depart quietly, only to find out that the spree service has been temporarily halted because to his murderous rampage. Kurt hails a ride using the GoGo app, where he enters the vehicle of a kind man named David. David immediately cracks a joke about not being the insane driver who has been killing people all night. Kurt takes this personally and kills David in a matter of seconds. Jessie returns to the bar and decides to get rid of Mike by ordering a GoGo since she is fed up with him and the fact that he won't stop recording her even if she deletes her social media accounts. Kurt is at the wheel as David's car pulls up, and he tells Jessie that he is the driver from earlier whom she made fun of in her performance. Additionally, he informs her that he attended her performance and is aware that she will be unable to call for assistance because she damaged her phone. Kurt tells Jessie that he's taking her to his house so they can communicate using love rather than hate since he believes she's defenseless. But Jessie fights back and chokes him with a phone charger wire until the car crashes into a trash can. Jessie is punched by Kurt, who then responds by putting her out cold. Kurt snarls and stops the automobile. Then he drags her body into his headlights after driving her to his front lawn. The viewers decide that he should kill her after he polls them on what he should do with her. As his viewers spam the conversation, Kurt prepares to run her over. He loses sight of Jessie as he stops to fix a camera that has fallen, so he gets out of the car to seek for her as the conversation calls him out for his stupid decision. The audience was correct. Jessie took advantage of the opportunity to jump in the automobile and steal the wheel before using it to run over Kurt. Kurt manages to avoid the car going through the side of his house because she loses control of the vehicle while driving it. When Jessie pushes him away, Kurt escapes into another room. He then attempts to kill Jessie by shoving her face into the airbag. Chris also arrives and is stunned to discover the house wrecked with Kurt's mother dead on the floor as Jessie pleads for assistance and tries to convince the viewers that this is true. Then it becomes clear that she was Kurt's first victim. Just before leaving to teach the lesson, he killed her off-screen. Kurt suddenly emerges, takes Bobby's gun from his car, and uses it to rapidly kill his father by shooting him several times. Jessie tries to get away in the meantime, but when driving in reverse doesn't work, she instead presses Kurt up against the wall while driving ahead. Kurt is still alive when Jessie checks on the body as instructed by the conversation. While a flashback to a few minutes earlier depicts Kurt feeling like a champ because he had 50,000 people watching, she is obliged to finish the job by hitting his skull with his phone in the present. Then, when the conversation requests a selfie with the body, Jessie obliges. Kurt's case goes viral the next few days. Even though Kurt is hated by all reporters, he is viewed as a hero by some of the scummier areas of the internet, such as 4chan and Reddit. Jessie becomes more well-known than ever as a multimedia queen. As the love for Kurt grows in these forums, a user discloses that Spree, a film about him, is currently in production. Please subscribe and enable notifications so you can view more content like this. I appreciate you coming.